Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new session. So, I hope all of you are doing great and preparing well for your upcoming exams. So, today we are going to have another session for the upcoming Kerala HSST PSC exam. Now, we are having exam practice sessions for this exam, right? And it is our fifth session today. All right. I hope all of you have been following this series. I also believe this series has been helping all the aspirants out there to check their preparation and also to revise and revise more and more along with us. All right. Okay. So let me start by sharing my screen. And also, please do like the session. Right. Okay. Yeah. I believe the screen is visible to you all now. Yes. So welcome again, right? Okay. So welcome to Kerala HSST PSC exam practice session 5. Okay, let's move on to the first question for tonight. Feminism and the subversion of identity. This is the subtitle of which work among the following? Is it Bodies That Matter, Gender Trouble, Excitable Speech, or Undoing Gender? We can see all the works here are by Butler. And it is Gender Trouble by Butler, which is subtitled Feminism and the Subversion of Identity. It is that major work of Butler which propounded the concept of gender performativity. This work propounded the concept of gender performativity. Right? Yes, got it? Very good. Next question. Oh, we have a big question now. And this question is from Helen Sizou's essay, The Laugh of the Medusa. Which of the following statements about Helen Sizou's The Laugh of the Medusa is or are true? So we have to look out for the true or the correct statements about this essay. Sizou urges women to write through écriture féminine. Does this essay talk about this concept? I think it does, right? Yes. So here, Sizou urges women to write through écriture féminine, a form of white ink that connects the female body to the written word. That's correct. The essay argues that women should adopt traditional patriarchal literary structures. No. Sizou would never say that. Next. Sizou reinterprets the myth of Medusa as a symbol of monstrous terror that women must fear. Again, very wrong. So, last statement. The text advocates for bisexual writing that transcends rigid binary oppositions of male, female, active, passive. This is correct, right? So here, correct statements are 1 and 4. Option B. These two statements are right about this essay, The Laugh of the Medusa by Helen Sizou. This essay does talk about écriture féminine. It also advocates for a bisexual writing that transcends the binary oppositions like male, female, active, passive. All right? Okay. Great. Let's move on to the next question, shall we? In Girish Karnad's Nagamandala, which two Kannada folk tales told to him by A.K. Ramanujan did the playwright combine to structure the drama? So which two folk tales told to Girish Karnad by Ramanujan helped him to write this drama called Nagamandala? Is it the story of a prince and a princess? But Nagamandala does not talk about any prince or princess. Is it the story of a snake and a magical herb? Or the story of a girl who married a snake and a story of a woman and a dog. Or the story of a faithful wife and a dishonest husband. It would be option C, the story of a girl who married a snake, the story of a woman and a dog. These two folk tales were told to Girish Karnad by Ramanujan. And these two folk tales inspired Girish Karnad to structure this play. Okay, let me see what you all are saying in the comments. Yes, correct. Okay, next. Edward Said's Orientalism argues that knowledge about the Orient is what or what type. In this exam, in your syllabus, you have the Introduction to Orientalism. It is one of the major texts of post-colonial criticism, which talks about the binaries of Orient and the Occident. Orient means the East. So in this introduction to this work, Said argues that knowledge about the East is of what type? Is it objective and neutral and academic? No, it is not objective at all. Is it a pure representation of Eastern cultures? It is not pure, right? Pure is a wrong term because the Occident or the West has never represented the East in a pure or an unbiased way. So B is also wrong. Is it constructed and deeply intertwined with imperial power dynamics? Yes. Or is it a temporary misunderstanding soon created by history? No, no, no. It will be option C. That this is how the Occident has always presented the Orient. Its knowledge about the Orient is a construct. And this knowledge or this constructed knowledge is intimately tied to the imperial power dynamics of the colonialism project. All right, getting it? I hope all of you are following. Let me open the chat once more. Yes, correct. Okay, next. In her 1994 book, Postmodernism and Popular Culture, how does Angela McRobbie characterize the potential of postmodernism? As a total loss of political meaning and depth. Again, an extreme statement. It can be total loss. So you can eliminate these options like this. Right? As a space for social change, giving voice to marginalized identities can be, right? Because it is postmodernism that we are talking about. As the complete victory of high art over mass culture, wrong. It cannot be complete victory of high art, no. As a nostalgic longing for the modernist era, no, no, no. Postmodernism never laments or longs for the modernist era, no. It celebrates the fragmentation of the postmodernism. So it will be option B, that postmodernism is described as a space by Angela McRobbie as a space for social change and giving voice to marginalized identities. Okay, right, next. Arrange the following Indian English works in the correct chronological order. The Serpent and the Robe by Raja Rao, Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie, Malgudi Days by R.K. Narayan, and Clear Light of Day by Anita Desai. You have to arrange these works in the correct chronological order. Say, what would be the correct chronology of these works? Let's see. Yeah. So first we will have R.K. Narayan's Malgudi Days. It was published in 1943, so that would come first. Then we will have Raja Rao's The Serpent and the Rope, published in 1960. Okay. Then we will have Anita Desai's Clear Light of Day, published in 1980. And lastly, we will have Rushdie's Midnight's Children, published in 1981. So 3142. Malgudi Days, 1943. The Serpent and the Rope, 1960. Desai's Clear Light of Day, 1980. And Rushdie's Midnight's Children, 1981. Okay. Hi, Gopika. Hi, I'm good, Gopika. I hope you are doing great as well. Yes, okay. And please remember, years can be important for this upcoming exam. Okay, all right. Next, in the context of Hegel's master-slave dialectic, how does Crusoe's relationship with Friday evolve after the rescue? We know that Hegel talked about this concept of master-slave dialectic in his book, Phenomenology of Spirit. And this idea of master-slave dialectic predicates itself on the concept that this dialectic will only work when the master is recognized as one by the slave. This dynamic or this dialectic will only work when there is a recognition of the master as one by the slave. If Friday did not recognize Crusoe as master, he would not even be a master. This dialectic requires one of the binaries to recognize the other as the master. And only when the master is recognized as one, this dialectic will be operational. So, in the context of Hegel's master-slave dialectic, how does Crusoe's relationship with Friday evolves after his rescue? Yes. So, Crusoe establishes dominance, reducing Friday to a slave, who affirms Crusoe as a master. So, only because Friday gives him the recognition of being a master, that recognition makes him the dominant one. Only if I accept you as my master will you be my master, otherwise not. That's what Hegel talked about as master-slave dialectic in his work, Phenomenology of Spirit. Okay, right, very good. Next. Which character in The Importance of Being Earnest embodies the rigid Victorian social norms and class distinctions that Oscar Wilde satirizes through an interrogation scene? So, The Importance of Being Earnest, subtitled A Trivial Comedy for Serious People. It's a very witty, sarcastic play which satirizes the hypocrisy, the shallow insincerity of the contemporary people. So which character here embodies the rigid Victorian social norms? Is it Cicely Curdew, Gwendolyn Fairfax, Lady Bracknell, or Mrs. Prism? Miss Prism. Yes, very good. It is Lady Bracknell in this play, who is a very rigid woman who upholds Victorian social conventions. And this play actually satirizes the hypocrisy of the contemporary people, the shallow insincerity of these people, right? Yes. Okay, next. So yes, from this 4th of May, we are starting our crash course. We're starting our UGC NET English 1-month crash course. So if you are planning to sit for this June exam, the forms are already out, right? So if you are planning to sit for this exam, it's high time you join us and prepare really in a very solid way with us. Okay, so that you don't have to be upset about less marks or missing your GRF by a few marks when the result is out. All right, so join us and prepare in a very solid way. All right, okay. Great. Now we have a question from A.K. Ramanujan's essay, Is There an Indian Way of Thinking? So here you have to look for the correct statements about this essay. Ramanujan argues that the Indian way of thinking is primarily context free. That's absolutely wrong. He never said this in his. Option 2. He contrasts the Indian context sensitive approach with the Western tendency towards universalization. That's correct. Because in this essay, he emphasizes how Indian thought pattern or Indian thinking is contingent upon multiple factors like our religion, our background, our caste, our class. All right. He suggests that in India, dharma varies according to caste, class, and stage of life, making it a particularistic rather than universalistic concept. So here, correct would be 2 and 3. 2 and 3 are correct, 1 is wrong. Because the main idea of this essay is that Ramanujan emphasizes how our Indian thinking is context based, how it is context sensitive, and it is contingent upon multiple factors. So 2 and 3 are correct about this essay. Next, in Robert Browning's Andrea del Sarto, the protagonist laments that his technical perfection is low pulsed because he lacks the soul of which a Renaissance contemporary. So Andrea del Sarto, subtitled The Faultless Painter, it's a dramatic monologue by Browning, where we see that this painter called Andrea del Sarto laments about his paintings losing or lacking soul or passion. He laments that his technical perfection is low pulsed because he lacks the soul of Raphael. Correct. In this work, he mentions the name of both Michelangelo and Raphael, but in this particular line where he talks about his work lacking soul, in that line he mentions particularly Raphael, that his work lacks the passion, the soul which Raphael had. Okay, Andrea del Sarto, subtitled The Faultless Painter. Right. Next. Which theoretical framework best captures the contradiction between Pope's satire and aesthetic pleasure in The Rape of the Lock? We know that The Rape of the Lock, it's a mock epic poem first published in 1712. It's a major work which satirizes and ridicules the contemporary nobility. He employs very high proportionate tropes, epic like similes, and grandiloquent language to talk about a very negligible, a very trivial affair. And this was deliberate. Why deliberate? Because he wanted to ridicule the contemporary lifestyle, the contemporary shallowness, the contemporary vanity. All right. So, which theoretical framework best captures this contradiction between his satire and the aesthetic pleasure? It is ideological critique, where Pope is simultaneously critiquing and reproducing elite values. So, he is doing an ideological critique here of the contemporary nobility. Okay, so option C would be the answer. All right, next. In the French Lieutenant's Woman, how does John Fowles primarily utilize the existentialist concept of authenticity to challenge the Victorian conventions of the novel's setting? So, in the French Lieutenant's Woman, or this novel, The French Lieutenant's Woman by Fowles, it's a novel with postmodernist sensibilities. This novel has multiple endings and deals with a very interesting theme of how a woman exploits her agency, right? So in this novel, Fowles utilizes the existentialist concept of authenticity. How? By presenting Sarah, right? Sarah Woodruff as the only authentic character who embraces her freedom by rejecting predetermined social roles. And this agency of hers contrasts with the inauthentic Victorian society. Because we know how the Victorian society, again, was very hypocritical in its thoughts and actions. And that hypocrisy is challenged by Sarah's authenticity, her unabashed, her unapologetic agency. All right, so option C would be the answer. Okay, next. Here you have to choose the correct statements regarding Foucault's critique of traditional power theories in his 2 lectures, which you have in your syllabus. So, which 2 statements would be correct here? That Foucault rejects the juridico-discursive model, which views power primarily as a repressive top-down instrument of sovereignty. Is that correct? Does he reject the juridico-discursive model, which views power primarily as a repressive top-down instrument of sovereignty? Correct. Sounds correct, right? Because Foucault never viewed power in this way, in this one-dimensional way, as a repressive. This is correct. It's correct. Foucault rejects it. He does not accept it. So it's correct. Next. He argues that modern power operates mainly through legal codes and the sovereign's right to take life. Is that correct? Lastly, he suggests that the microphysics of power is better understood through the genealogical analysis than macropolitical theory. That's also correct, right? So 1 and 3, I think, yes, would be correct. Because yes, power is pervasive, it is everywhere. Correct. Okay, so that's all from our side for tonight. I really hope you guys loved the questions and enjoyed answering these questions. Yes, and do join our crash course for net, and we will see you all again tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow at 9:30 we will meet again. Till then, please take ample care of yourself. Keep learning. Go through your primary texts really well. Okay, all right. Bye then. Good night and take care.